So you live in Princeton, Texas, and you know this town absolutely loves its dogs. But let's be honest, finding the right person to help your dog be their best can feel a little overwhelming. Well, in this guide, we're going to walk you through everything you need to know to make a really confident choice, so you and your pup can get out there and enjoy all that Princeton has to offer. You know that picture in your head, those perfect, peaceful walks around the town lake trails, or maybe just a relaxing trip to the park where you're not stressed out? That's what we're all aiming for. And getting there really just comes down to finding the right training support. So let's figure out exactly how to do that.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why training specific to life here in Princeton really matters. Then, we'll get into what you should actually look for in a good trainer. After that, we'll break down the different kinds of training and what you can expect to pay. Next up, we'll arm you with the must-ask questions for any trainer you talk to. And finally, we'll cover some local Princeton rules and resources you'll want to know about.
Let's kick things off with why local knowledge is such a big deal. You might think, hey, dog training is dog training, right? But having a trainer who really gets the Princeton area can give you and your dog a serious advantage.
I mean, think about it. Princeton is growing fast. A well-trained dog is one who can handle a busy sidewalk, stay cool during those community events by City Hall, and just generally not get overwhelmed by all the activity. That's the kind of real-world confidence we're talking about.
So, how do you actually find that right person? In this section, we're going to focus on two of the most critical pieces of the puzzle: the trainer's core philosophy and their professional credentials. This is where you really start to separate the great from the not so great.
All right, if there's one term you need to know, it's this one: positive reinforcement. It's pretty simple, really. It just means using rewards, like a tasty treat, a good boy, or a favorite toy, to encourage the behaviors you want to see more of. It's not just effective, it's humane, and it's the best way to build a solid bond of trust with your dog.
Now, on the flip side, this is incredibly important. If you talk to a trainer and they start mentioning things like intimidation, fear, or using tools that cause pain, that is a massive red flag. These old-school methods are not just unkind, they can actually make problems like anxiety and aggression even worse.
Okay, you're going to see a lot of letters after trainers' names. They aren't just alphabet soup, they really matter. They show that a trainer is dedicated to their education and professional standards. For most basic obedience stuff, a certification like CPDT-KA is a great sign. But if you're dealing with more serious issues, you'll want to look for advanced certifications like the CBCC-TA or IABC-CDBC.
All right, let's get down to the practical stuff, the different types of training formats, and of course, how much it all costs. Knowing your options here will help you find something that fits your dog's needs and your budget.
You're generally looking at two main options: group classes or private lessons. Group classes are awesome for practicing skills like sit and stay with other dogs around. It's a controlled way to work on focus. Private lessons, on the other hand, are perfect for zeroing in on specific issues that happen at home, like your dog bolting out the door the second it opens.
So what can you expect to pay? This chart gives you a pretty good snapshot for Princeton and the greater Collin County area. As you can see, a 6-week group class usually runs somewhere between $150 and $275. A single private lesson is more like $85 to $150. And then you have more intensive options, like a board and train, which is a much bigger investment. Just use this as a general guide when you're planning things out. Okay, you've done your research, and you have a short list of trainers you're interested in. What now? Well, now it's time for a little interview. Let's go over your checklist of questions so you can make sure you're picking the absolute best fit.
Here are the 5 big things you want to cover. First, ask them straight up about their training philosophy. Make sure you hear the words positive reinforcement. Second, ask about their certifications. Third, ask how they would create a plan specifically for your dog's issues. Fourth, find out how you'll both know if the training is actually working. And last but not least, get all the money talk out of the way up front. Fees, packages, cancellation policies, the whole thing. All right, let's bring this all back to our community here in Princeton, because great training and being a responsible dog owner really go hand in hand, and that means knowing the local rules of the road. Here are 4 key things every dog owner in Princeton should know. First, we do have a leash law, so anytime your dog is off your property, they need to be on a leash. Second, the rabies vaccine isn't just a good idea, it's required by Texas state law. Third, be a good neighbor and keep an eye on nuisance barking. And finally, here's a helpful tidbit. While Texas doesn't license individual trainers, board and train facilities do have to be licensed.
Okay, so you and your dog are learning all these new skills. The obvious next question is, where can you go to practice and have a little fun with it.
Luckily, we've got some great local options. Princeton Community Park has that awesome dog park, which is perfect for practicing your dog's recall in a safe, fenced-in area. The trails around Levon Lake are fantastic for working on polite leash walking and focus. If you're up for a short drive, Oak Point Park in Plano has miles of trails to explore. And don't forget, Collin County Animal Services is a great local resource for info and low-cost vaccinations.
You know, taking the time to find the right trainer, it's one of the best things you can do for your dog. It's truly an investment in a happier, more confident pup, and let's be real, a much less stressed you.
Because it all pays off in those simple, everyday moments. Like being able to grab a coffee with a friend and not worry, or just having a quiet night at home. Every single walk you take around your Princeton neighborhood will feel better. Here's to many, many happy years with your amazing, well-trained companion.